Hello and welcome to the paddle training video series. My name's Ken Walker, and in this video I'm going to explain to you the new searching pattern that we've used in paddle, which is called faceted searching. Now, faceted searching has not been used much in natural history databases. It's more commonly used in e-commerce style websites. Now, the reason why they use faceted searching in e-commerce sites is that when they get a customer in, they don't ever want to send a customer to a dead end. In other words, send them or let the customer ask a question about product that they don't have in their catalog. So they only allow the customer to query the contents of the catalog. And I think that's a brilliant way of being able to massage and manage data. It allows you to explore and navigate, knowing that you're never going to go down a dead end. So to explain it, I'm going to pop into a auction site, a car auction site. Here's a site in Melbourne for car auctions, and as you can see on the week, the next auction coming up is 1,695 cars available. This is one of the nice things about faceted searching. You always know how many objects or items there are to any category. So let's open up the cars and commercials and see how we can look at it. So here is the list of all of the various cars that are coming up the next auction, but hey, I'm in Victoria, so I'm going to make a query on Victoria. Each time you make a query, you receive a set of answers that what's called a subset of the previous query before you made a query, and then each time you make a query, the subset gets lower and lower. So let's go in and do some faceted searching on these cars. I know the kind of car I want, and let's see whether it's available for auction. Now, before we open these up, let's have a look at what's available on those 1,695 cars. So here we are, and you can see that we have Alfa Romeos and Aston Martins. There are 10 Audis, there are 5 Citroens, there's 1 Dodge, there's Land Rovers, there's Mitsubishi, Peugeot, Porsches, so on and so on. A lot of range of different makes. If we go into the models of the cars, you'll see that there's quite a range of models as well. Going all the way down Berliner, Explorer, Fairmont, Freelander, Impreza, Land Cruiser, like a lot of them down there. Let's have a look at the engine size. Remember, this is before we have made any kind of a query, so you're getting everything that's available at the auction, and it goes all the way from a 0.7 litre motor, and there's 2 of them, all the way up to a one car that's got a 7.3 litre motor. And there's 5 litres and 4 litres and 6 litres and so on. And let's look at the colours. You might, as I said, these are the types of things that I'm interested in. There's a 95 blue and 20 gold and 3 orange and 45 grey and 28 burgundy. Can you see how I'm never going to be sent to a colour that's not available, and it tells me how many cars there are. Okay, so let's go back and do a query using faceted searching. I know that I want to buy a Toyota. Okay, so we go down to the bottom and there's 124 of them coming up the next auction. So when I click Toyota, it will upgrade all of these facets down here to just what's available in those 124 cars. So if I now go to the model, and remember what we had before, there was quite a range, but now it's much, much shorter, and they're only models that occur within the Toyota make. And I say, well, I want to buy a Corolla. Now let's look at the engine size. Remember, it went all the way from 0.7 up to 7.3, but now, because it's a Toyota and I've said I want to buy a Corolla, there are only 2 engine sizes in that make and that model, 1.6 and a 1.8. I can't physically ask for a 7.3 litre Toyota Corolla. They don't exist. I can't make a dead-end query. So I'm going to say I'll have the 1.8 litre, thank you. Then we go down to colours. And you'll see here that under Toyota Corolla 1.8 engine, I'm down to 6 silver, 1 green, 1 blue, and 2 white. I can't ask for a burgundy, or I can't ask for a black. It's not available. I can decide I'm not going to go to that auction because the car with the colour that I want is not there, or I might say, yep, I'm happy to take a silver car. So we're down to 6 cars out of that 1,695 that we began with that match my search pattern of Toyota, Corolla, 1.8 and silver. I can now go to view the results and think of this like a species array. So here are all the answers. Here are the 6 motors or the 6 cars that match in Victoria the search pattern of Toyota, Corolla, 1.8 and silver in Victoria. If I like, I can open up and have a look at the individual cars and think of these like a species page. Here are the diagnostic photographs of that car, and here is the diagnostic information about that car. Exactly the same way that we would look at developing and massaging, more importantly, exploring and navigating a natural history data set. It's just a data set, and the user should be able to navigate it without making silly queries that end up in a blind or a dead-end query. So if we go back to the Paddle website and open up a library, let's go to the Australian Biosecurity Library. This is exactly what we have done here with the new Paddle. It uses faceted searching, which means that it will only display to you what's available in the catalogue. And so here are our facets. You do have a direct search available to you, and you can put in whatever you like there. But when you get into these facets here, it shows you that there are 1,209 species available. Of them, 1's an acarina, 16 are anapomorph, 22 are worms, 9 species are arachnids. We can move on down and see there are 8 cockroaches, there are 526 species of beetles. If I was to click on the beetles, it will then bring me up the classification of what families there are and tell me how many species are available in each of those 526 families. So as I said, you always know. So here we are here, only the Coleoptera are shown, and straight away down here, the product. Think of this as like the cars. This is, you make the query and you can see the product. 526, and there they are down there. You can go through them. I can ask on bostrichids or anobids or anthistids or whatever I like. Now look, I want to just go back. This is how you remove one of the queries you made by simply clicking on the query string that occurs down here, because I want to show you into another facet here. If we go into these facets down here, now you can see there's commodity overview, commodity type, distribution, group. So let's look at Africa, for example. See how there are 306 species on Paddle from Africa. Now, if I go down to Coleoptera, of which there were 526 species, let's see what happens to the Africa and to the animals and the crop. We've got 255 here, 109, and 306. And over here in the groups, you've got beetles down here, 526. But let's see what happens to these facets by simply clicking on Coleoptera. It will return those families as I showed you before. But look at these facets down here, how they will all be updated to be a subset of the beetle query that we've just made. So we've dropped down, we've lost all of the ants and the flies and that to the 526 species. Of the 526 species of beetles, 127 of them have a distribution from Africa. There's only 34 of them that are on animals, and we've gone now from 255 down to 83 species that are on crop and pastures. We can always see how many species occur. And as I said, you cannot make a dead-end query here because every part of the facet has been updated to only include information from the Coleoptera query we made. So let's drop on down. You can see 526 species here. Let's drop on down and say the bees and peas. Show me just the Coleoptera that occur on the beans and the peas. There's only 30 species out of the original 526. So again, let's look at Africa, 127. Crop and field and pastures, 83. And as I said, down here, there's 526 species. Here we are. We're now down to 16 species from Africa, and 23 of them are from crop and field, of the 30 species that have been returned. So here's our product. And not surprisingly, we have the bruconi coming up there. So the faceted searching, in faceted searching, every time you make a query, all other facets are updated for you immediately.